There's a pretty big movement for essentially eating the rich. I try to take that with a grain of salt. I absolutely think the system is rigged in favor of people who are earning more and that they take advantage of that. That system needs to be revamped. Absolutely. I do not think that a person is automatically a bad person just because they have a lot of money. And I've seen arguments where it's, for instance, you cannot become a multi-billionaire without exploiting. And again, I'm not disagreeing with that, but the system is already engineered toward exploiting and consuming as many resources at it as little of a cost to create as much profit as possible. Until the system is changed, it doesn't automatically mean that the person wanted to be a bad person by using the system that they have to use because it's the system that's available. That would be like saying a person hates the environment because they are driving a car. All of the roads that they are around require the use of the car for them to get to their work, for them to get to their school, for them to go visit their mom. Everything's spread out. They don't live in a major city. Now, they recycle and they try to not use any electricity in their house that they don't need to use. They try to be conscientious, use reusable bags when they grocery shop, all this different stuff. But it's not good enough because they're driving a car, but the system is there. They might even be looking forward to the day when they don't need to drive a car anymore, when there is a better system, when public transportation is better implemented. But right now, the system that they're in requires them to drive the long distances that they have to go. This is the system that is available to them and that they can afford. Are they a bad person, even though they care about the environment, for functioning in the system that is currently available, even if they hope for a better one someday? No, they're not a bad person. It sucks. They might not like that. They might feel guilty about it sometimes, but they're still going to use that system to get the life that they're trying to live. The system is absolutely flawed and broken, and there are some wealthy people who keep enhancing that system to be even more flawed and unacceptable. In the last 20 years, taxes that are set up for corporations and for the wealthy have had huge breaks added into them, and the margins have grown exponentially in the last 20 years. In one generation, we've gone from inheriting an estate being taxed at 40% after, say, 600,000 to being taxed at 40% after 12.6 mil. In one generation, we've gone from having, a few lobbyists to having ridiculous amount of lobbyists. In a few years, we've had massive changes and shifts that propel money upward, that trended upward. The sheer volume of subsidies for corporations is huge. The majority of your taxes actually go toward paying corporations. The majority of your taxes don't go to welfare. Welfare is an extremely small margin of your taxes that you pay. The majority of your taxes go to the military and to businesses. The system sucks for poor people. Meanwhile, in the last 20 years, minimum wage has not been raised. For poor people, that can feel frustrating. Not only do the wealthy have a system that benefits them, but the wealthy also can enhance that system, and it benefits them. And even if the wealthy person is not one of the people who is doing that, maybe it's a wealthy person who has multiple corporations, properties, all that stuff, but they're not putting lobbyists in Washington, but they still receive the benefits from the other wealthy people who do have lobbyists there. They are still getting benefits from that, and that can suck. But it does not automatically make them a bad person. In the long run, they're just people. Now, studies have shown that they do lack empathy in comparison with the average person who is more poor, and that sucks because they see resources when they look at things. It is what it is with that. But they are not actually bad people. In the long run, what money is a mirror. Money amplifies who you already are. It's kind of like drinking. When someone gets drunk, it just amplifies who they already are. So if the person's been suppressing a lot of anger, they might be an angry drunk. If the person has been quietly grieving, they might openly sob when they're drunk. If the person is like normally wishing they could be more social, their inhibitions are gone when they're drunk and they're suddenly incredibly social. I don't like getting drunk because I know getting drunk is an amplifier for who you already are. And money is the same deal. It is a mirror. It reflects back what's already going on inside of you. If you already are filled with insecurities about yourself, about your worth, about feeling powerful in your own life, about your own self, if you've not been investing in yourself, you might find yourself throwing yourself at money. If you already have a bunch of negative traits going on and you have been trying to sort of just work with them, those negative traits are going to get brought out by the money. If you already were an extremely kind and generous person and you were not someone who was distrusting or lacking in hospitality, getting money is not going to change that. Money reflects back who you already are. You have the image of the greedy CEO, the miser, the penny-pinching miser, the greedy old man, you know, in your mind. And there are some who end up that way, but it's because it was reflective of the greed and the desperation for maybe attention or maybe financial success or maybe to throw it in their parents' face or their teacher's face who said they never amount to anything. Whatever it is, something drove them to act that way, and money just amplified it. If you pay attention, the majority of rich people are not people you know the names of. They're not people who are in the news. The majority of the wealthy are not people that you pay attention to. The people that we pay attention to are flashy and exciting, but the majority are very boring and somewhat average. They are a little bit worried about someone trying to take what they have or take advantage of what they have, but they're actually just people. If you have a dream of wanting to have a lot of money, that doesn't make you a bad person. And that doesn't make you someone who automatically has to lose empathy toward people who don't have a lot of money. There are plenty of people who become wealthy and they do retain some sense of empathy and they do try to give back. That can happen. I don't fully align with eat the rich, even though I do very much agree that the system is broken and needs to be redone. Even though I do agree that it's not fair the way that money is distributed in this country and that the wealth gap is way too wide. And what is way more worse to me is that we're not more like Scandinavian countries, like say Denmark. Denmark actually has an insanely high wage gap, but the quality of life for the poorest is not so wide compared to the quality of the life for people who are more wealthy. There are guaranteed things like healthcare and stuff like that, education, college degrees. There are guaranteed wages, there's guaranteed options for housing. And so the basic necessities for people are more covered, which means their lifestyle, even though they are earning way, way less, is not abysmal and them living in a street. I wish it was more like that. Even that system is better than the system we have right now in the United States. The reality is, wishing for lots of money doesn't make you a bad person. It's not evil. The root of all evil isn't really money. It's the thing that's driving you toward the money. Living inside of a system that already exists is just something you do as part of surviving as a human. It doesn't make you bad. But if you don't deal with your personal issues, if you don't deal with your insecurity, your arrogance, your greed, whatever it is that you've got going on inside you personally, once you get the money, it's going to be hecka worse. You have not looked into yourself, You have not tried to do anything to better yourself and invest in yourself. You think, oh wow, this is awesome. I'm getting a 18% return on this investment. That's amazing. That's really good numbers. That's true. That is really good numbers. You could end up wealthy. But if you haven't been investing in yourself is your only 100% return on investment. It's the only guaranteed return on investment that you will ever encounter in your whole life. Investing in yourself. And if you invest in yourself and you start that habit of investing in yourself before you get the money, when you get the money, you're not going to be like those angry, greedy, untrusting misers. You're not going to be the unempathetic, horrible, mean, snob, looks down on people person. There's a lot of good things that can be done with money if you have enough money to do it. A lot of help that can be given if you have the money to give the help. You're not going to show that once you have the money if you can't even show it when you don't have the money. Money is just a mirror. It's just reflecting all the internal parts of you. I have met CEOs and multimillionaires who openly admitted to me that the reason that they are so desperate for money, and no matter how much they get, it's not enough. Even once they get, over 10 mil, over 25 mil, it doesn't matter. It's not enough. They are driven by their personal insecurities, and it's not fulfilling. But they can't stop because it's their only coping method. It is unhealthy to pursue an addiction, and if money is that addiction, it's not helping you. It's you having an unhealthy fixation on something else to distract you from the actual thing going on, the important thing going on with you. Getting the money is not going to do anything if you're burning yourself out, if you're destroying yourself, if you're feeding in to the negative things that are going on with you, if you're letting those negative things be the only thing that you hold on to, if you're not actually investing in yourself and you're only investing in anything external and nothing internal, it's not going to help you. It's just not going to help you at all. And when you get the money, it's going to be really obvious to everyone else. All those flaws and all those things. You don't automatically become a bad person just because you have money. But it definitely can bring the bad out in people. So invest in yourself. Invest in the good in yourself. Be a good person as much as you humanly can, so that if the money does come, if you get lucky, if you end up beating the way the system works and getting in on the good parts of the system, that you can add quality and you can add goodness to the world and you can make things better in the world instead of being like those wealthy people who are making it worse.